So the vice president's brother is killed. It's his third sibling, I should say. The vice president is Tariq al-Hashami. His brother was Amir al-Hashami. And I'm going to give you two paragraphs from the New York Times. So you see the story. Obviously, and the guys were dressed as Iraqi army. So you already see that there's huge problems here in the sense that, one, as the New York Times explains earlier in the story, there's near lawlessness in the streets of Baghdad. There's no law and order. People come up, they're dressed as cops, they're dressed as army, they kidnap people, they kill people. They just chased this guy on a roof, shot him in the head, and they took a whole bunch of witnesses and kidnapped them. They're still missing. There's no law and order. And it's there, and it's not a random title. The guy really is the vice president. Could you imagine if in America somebody shot Dick Cheney's brother and it wasn't Dick Cheney? And they kidnapped half of Dick Cheney's, neighbors, and they said, "Oh, well, we'll return them at a later date," and there was nothing anybody can do about it. It's chaos. It's absolute chaos in Iraq, and these are not minor players. So I thought that's hugely relevant in and of itself. Mm-hmm. And for Christ's sake, or Muhammad's sake, it's his third sibling they've killed. It's not like it's that's the one time that it happened. It happens on a regular basis. Now, all that notwithstanding, here comes the incredibly relevant part of the story that they just buried in the 13th paragraph or so, and that nobody else has picked up as far as I can tell. Let me read you the two paragraphs. In interviews on Monday, 5 of Mr. Hashemi's neighbors, 4 of them said they saw part of the attack, provided an account. From 20 to 25 men, uniformed men, arrived in about 8 sport utility vehicles. They surprised his guards and chased them onto the roof, and then to the roof of a neighbor. Abu Ammar is the neighbor. It was there that the attackers shot him in the head, the witnesses said. Okay, so...
They shot the brother in the head?
They shot the brother in the head. They
so far, it's a terrible story, but there's nothing in it that's particularly different than most days in and around Baghdad.
Yeah.
Except for being the vice president.
What was so compelling about that part?
No, I'm going to get to the second paragraph. So far... Oh, yeah, sure, they're dressed as Iraqi army, and they shot the vice president's brother in the head. No big deal. Right. It is Baghdad, after all. Now, here comes the part that blew me away. The men then seized 2 neighbors, their children, and one of their wives, and an elderly man, a baker, it turns out, all of whom witnessed the attack. The men sounded like they were speaking Arabic with a foreign accent, residents said. And I'm quoting the New York Times here. After they took Mr. Hashemi's guards, one was heard shouting to another, "Go, go," in English.
What does go mean in Arabic?
It means go, go in English.
Oh.
Okay. Wait, whoa.
Now, was this according to whom?
This is according to 4 of the 5 witnesses that saw the attack that the New York Times reporter talked to.
Including the baker and all those.
No, the baker's kidnapped.
Oh, they're gone. They're gone.
Well, that seems like a positive development to me. I mean, the Western culture seems to be spreading through the Middle East. They're just picking up English left and right.
Right. 3 days from now, if this story gets bigger, that'll be Tony Snow's excuse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, we can't help it if the sort of pervasive nature of American culture permeates throughout the Muslim world.
Now, all kidding aside,
the Iraqi army now is speaking English in its command.
When they're not fighting the insurgents bravely, they're learning English and they're watching Desperate Housewives
and playing hockey.
Apparently, all the kidding was not aside. Okay, now that all the kidding's aside, think about, whoa, people speaking English shot the Iraqi vice president's brother in the head? That's not a little story. That's a giant story. Who the hell were those guys? I mean, somebody, please. I don't know if there's enough journalists left alive in Baghdad to follow this story through and find out who they were. But the guys were speaking English.
And I think the big key, too, is, obviously, the argument could be, well, they wanted to make it seem like it was American, so they spoke English. But, it was a foreign accent that they said that was speaking.
Yeah, the neighbors, they can tell if you're a local Arab or you're not a local Arab, and they said they were speaking with a foreign accent. So did they fake the foreign accent before they accidentally spoke English?
When I go to Latin,
and if you want to speak English, you speak English. You don't accidentally say go, go.
When I go to when I was honeymooning in Mexico, and I was like, "Hola, Pablo, me llamo Benjamin." They weren't like, "What part of Mexico are you from?"
All right, so now.
I have to say, though, it's very Castilian.
That's right. Well,
You sound very Castilian.